now. Okay. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself first, and then I'll pass it on to you guys, and then we can start the presentation. My name's Irene. I work in the global office. I'm the Rice Global Program Specialist, and I help organize the student programs with the rest of my team. We have a team in Paris, and then I'm Houston based. So I'll pass it on to you guys. I'm excited for this class to happen again, and we'll have questions at the end if you do have questions and some.
Okay. So I will start, Luis. I'm Fabiola Lopez Duran. I'm an associate professor of art and architectural history. And my research and teaching focus on global modernism and the complicities between capitalism, racism, and the construction of the built environment, with an special attention on to the networks that were established at the beginning of the 20th century between France and Latin America.
Good morning or good evening. I'm speaking to you from Madrid. My name is Luis Duno Goldberg. I'm a professor in Latin American cultural studies. I specialize in Latin America and the Caribbean, and my scholarship has to do with visual culture and politics. So I study different ways in which visual culture represents, but also reproduce different forms of power. I've worked in the French Caribbean, the Spanish Caribbean, and more recently, I'm interested in things happening in Europe and in Europe and the relationship with Latin America. So I'm eager to present the course to you.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start our slides. And again, if there's questions, we'll answer them at the end. So feel free to put them in the chat, or we can answer in real time at the end. Let me share. Okay. So this is for Unlearning Paris, Sites of Rebellion and Sites of Empire, which is Paris Session 4, which is from June 24th through July 12th. And I'll have you guys go ahead and start talking a little bit about the course, and then we'll switch on to talk about the program itself after you're done. Okay?
Okay, so this is a course for students. As actually, I love it. This is something that is in the web page for the course. It was something written by the team at the Paris Center that says that this is a course for students who are interested in spending 3 weeks in Paris on learning the traditional and often reverential, if I remember correctly, approach to this iconic city, this iconic European metropolis that is Paris. So let me just say something about the title and the concept and what inspired us to design this course. So we will borrow the term unlearning from the title of Svati Chattopadhyaya book from 2012 that is titled Unlearning the City. And by unlearning, we refer to the process of acting consciously and correctively to dismantle the ways in which imperialism and racial capitalism have structured our disciplinary knowledge of the built environment and the modern institutions that has been dealing with mostly art and other cultural artifacts. So our program deconstructs the city of Paris as a site of contentious memories. So we invite the students to read the city as a composed environment built upon the control of land, resources, and bodies, enacting a struggle over what is to be remembered and honored and what is to be erased and forgotten. So this is a course that is organized into 2 different modules that we call Sites of Rebellion and Sites of Empire. So it's a sort of counterpoint between colonial imperial power and resistance from below or from the margins. So maybe we can pass and Luis can say something about Sites of Rebellion.
Fantastic. There is another concept that kind of guides my approach to the topic and has guided some of my research and scholarship over the last few years, which is also from the subaltern studies group from India, which is reading in reverse. Reading in reverse means taking documents of power, whether the built environment, monuments, literary pieces, paintings, and try to go against the grain and see how can you read within these works, between these cultural expressions, forms of power, oppression, or resistance. So the first model, Sites of Rebellion, will explore forms of the way in which culture and different groups contest power, from the French Revolution, which is an event that has been taught in schools and in the history of the Western world, we understand as an iconic moment of struggle for freedom, to a lesser known event such as the Haitian Revolution. The interesting thing here is to try to understand an event, for example, like the French Revolution, which is iconic in the history of struggles for freedom, and see the blind spots of this event. And the blind spot that I'm going to make most emphasis in is the Haitian Revolution. Basically, how a revolutionary movement or moments like the moment of the French Revolution had like another side, another revolutionary moment, which was erased by the French Revolution and then erased through history. And this is going to be kind of an element that is going to go across the course. We're going to see then other revolutionary moments like the French Commune, of 1871. And we're going to move in time, almost 250 years, to get to the times of 1968, and the revolution, the May of 1968 in France, and then try to see how this event in France has reverberations across the world, but also how we can understand revolution in the 20th century, specifically in that moment, from the Arab world, from Latin America, and so forth. So these sites of rebellion are global and could be an invitation to think about the events in Europe from the other side, from what happened in the periphery of empire. This model is going to go across 3 weeks, as Fabiola will explain probably in a minute. We have 3 weeks of classes, and there's going to be like a counterpoint. The course is almost like a symphony in which we have a counterpoint of sites of rebellion and sites of empire. And across the course, every week, we're going to go back and forth between sites of rebellion and sites of empire. So this is going to be one of the models.
They will see that in a second. But before going to what we are going to be covering each week, let me say something about sites of empire. So Irene, can you just move ahead? Thank you. So Sites of Empire begins with a revision of fundamental theoretical works on the crafting of the modern city, with its rituals of perpetual flow and consumption. So we aim at revealing how coloniality is a constitutive part of modernity. Of course, here I'm referring to Walter Mignolo, who argues that coloniality is the darker side, the darker and unavoidable side of modernity. And we will do that by uncovering imperial treasures that are held in iconic museums such as the Louvre, where we will see not only, some of the most important paintings in the history of art, but also representations of the topics that we are studying, such as the French and the Haitian Revolution, but also sort of trophies that were either stolen by Napoleon from, let's say, Italy, right? Like masterpieces of Italian painting that are still at the Louvre. We will also explore the legacies of warfares and the multiple strategies of constructing the other in museums and monuments, vis-a-vis the relationship between the metropole and its overseas territories. So we are actually going back and forth between France and its colonies, but also between France and countries that even though were not official colonies acted as such. Okay, maybe we can move to, okay. So every single day, we will entail a theoretical and experiential journey in which spaces, architectural artifacts, and narrative of identity and nationhood will be challenged in such a way that silence, stories, and history might come to light. So we will be all the time unveiling, revealing the stories and micro-histories that has been either forgotten or hidden. And we will divide our 3 weeks into 3 different topics: revolutions, modern milieu, and the last one, we call it deviant bodies. And we will tell you just a little bit about each of them. So can you just pass?
So the first week, we start with the notion of revolution. And we question what's a revolution, when a revolution is revolutionary for whom, who enters in this process, who's left out. Decentering the French Revolution, we'll start with this idea that everybody knows about the French Revolution, but doesn't know about the Haitian Revolution. And this is kind of the other side of that event, of that revolutionary moment that is left out for all sorts of reasons, which we will explore. We will be exploring that first day the concept of unsilencing the past, which rests on a theory produced by the Haitian anthropologist, historian Michel Rolf Trouillot. And that's going to be kind of a framework that will help us explore other topics across the course, which is something that is going to be very interesting across this journey. Some of the theories that we explore, some of the methods, some of the ideas will be helpful across the whole semester. The second day, we'll explore what we call the imperial archive, and we're going to go from the representations of revolutionary movement or moments to colonial plundering. And in this day, we'll have the 2 movements. We'll have the sites of rebellion to describe revolution, and we're going to have the sites of empire when we see how French colonialism plundered, territories, resources, and people.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Yes. And this is a day that we will spend the full day at the Louvre. Very
Indeed.
important.
And when we talk about the evaluation, you will see how these days students are particularly active in enacting the theories, the tools that we share with you. The third day, we're going to talk about the storming of the capital. And this is when we see how the people in the streets of Paris at different moments go out and take over the city. And then we're going to explore the monuments, the traces of these events, traces that are then erased by power, which is a very interesting thing, how the city is built, destroyed, and rebuilt in response to these forms of rebellion. The fourth day, we're going to see the moment of the global revolution of 1968. Everybody knows about the 1968 revolution, the May of 68, as something that starts in Paris and spreads around the world sometimes. We would like to flip that and see that these movements across the world have their own logic and their own revolutionary impetus. The fifth day, power and resistance of the Sun King at the palace, is a beautiful day that we spend at Versailles. We first approach the space at this magnificent construction, this magnificent dwelling, gardens, and so forth, and then apply the same theory. We try to see, I always say jokingly, and perhaps a little bit cruelly, that once we stroll through the gardens, we understand why the French Revolution took place. We're going to see what's all that wealth, where it came from, what it did, how it was sustained. So it's a full day in the outskirts of Paris in Versailles. That's the first week.
Okay, the second week that we titled Modern Milieus starts with a day devoted to the world fairs that took place in Paris. So we are referring to 1855, 1889, which is when the Tour Eiffel was built, and 1900. We will visit some of the buildings that were created for this. So starting with the Tour Eiffel, but also the Champs de Mars, the Esplanade des Invalides, the Grand Palais and the Petit Palais. And one different day, but a very important building, will be also the building that is right now hosting one of the most important new collections in Paris, which is the Pinot collection. So the second day will be a day devoted to the Parisian arcades and panoramas, and we will see that through the writing of Walter Benjamin. I think that we'll go a little bit faster, right? Irene, we are taking a lot more detail in this. So the third day will be a date about Haussmann and the process of dissecting the capital and crafting modernity. So the Paris that we see today was designed by the Baron Haussmann. And we will see how it was inspired by some of the popular movements that took place earlier, so that we will be discussing the week before this week during the topic of revolutions. The fourth day will be about a very important exhibition that was the colonial exhibition in Paris in 1931, and a sort of counter exhibition that was the anti-imperialist exhibition that also took place in Paris. And we will finish with what we know as modern urbanism, that basically emerged from a very conservative institution in Paris, the Musée Social, and that ended having its main protagonist in the Swiss-French architect Le Corbusier. So here we have some images that has to do with these buildings, including the Grey Glove by Élisée Reclus, an anarchist from Belgium that designed this incredible architectural artifact to be able to see the evolution of humankind for the 1900 exhibition, which is the image that we have at the center of the screen. We can move to the...
So the third week, Deviant Bodies, explore how empire, how discourse of power construct this notion that some subjects are lacking, some subjects are inferior. These are the colonial subjects that they construct in the periphery of empire, French and its colonial sites of power, but also within France. These are subjects that are sometimes brought into France, and they're reproduced in France. So we're going to see how this notion of the deviant body is constructed and contested. The first day, monumentality and preservation of cultural and contested monuments, explore this idea through monuments and collections built by museums. We'll see what's the role of museums and institutions in the construction and reinforcing of this notion that some people, some subjects are inferior. The second day, Paris and its others, collecting in time of colonialism, will visit also institutions that were charged with telling the story of other people, and what do we do when we tell the story of other people? What perspective do you assume, and what that telling of the story from above does to people? These are institutions that are very much inexistent, and these contradictions are not contradictions of the past, which is something very interesting about this course, that we're going to go from the past to the present, and we'll see how these issues are still very much alive, and that will become completely apparent, obvious on the last day of class, when on the fifth day we talk about Paris from its margins, and we literally go to the margins of the city, to the outskirts of Paris, to see where the immigrant communities have settled. And we'll see how they have settled and how they contest power, how they also appropriate space and give it meaning, in a way, fighting this construction of a deviant body. We're going to talk about the role of psychiatry and medicine and science in the construction of these deviant bodies. We're going to also talk about the avant-garde, how the arts in the avant-garde appropriate through expressions such as primitivism, the bodies of the other, to express projects that respond more to the anxieties and desires of the Western world than to the concerns, for example, of Africa. And that will be the third and last day.
Okay. So every single day we'll have a section in the classroom in the morning, and then we are out in the city, either in institutions, in museums, or following different architectural itineraries. So we are expecting a full participation of these very intense days, but fascinating ones. And we are also expecting each student to do a reading presentation, one reading presentation per student that is a presentation of 10 to 15 minutes, and that basically will provide a brief background on the author and situating the text in the context of the course, extrapolating key points and generating questions, right, that we can have to initiate a discussion. We are also asking the students to do an impromptu museum presentation. So each student will select a work of art in one of the museums that we are going to be visiting, and also a monument presentation. So each student will select a monument that we will be visiting in the city. And the final project is a story map, which will be an opportunity to create a personal and immersive narrative of Paris that can combine tests, interactive maps, your own photograph, or your own multimedia content.
So all of these activities entail participation of the students, but also something that in our experience has been beautiful, which is that the seminar is truly created in a dialogue between all the participants of the seminar. While we guide students, that the course is produced collectively. One more thing before we move into the program details. Some of the activities, such as the impromptu presentations of museums and monuments, but especially the story map, entail moving across the city, doing things like using your phone to trace your movement in space and then produce a particular narrative about that experience, of moving through space. So it's a very engaging experience. It's informed by theory, but also informed by living and walking through the city and its spaces.
Yeah. And I know that you guys taught this course before, and it was really great to see some of the messages from the students just saying how they were discovering things in real time while they were exploring the city that was coming from your class. So that's really something that we want with the Rice Global Paris Center programs, just being able to immerse yourself in the city and have this international experience, since we have this amazing Paris campus. And just a little bit now about program details. Again, the dates are from June 24th through July 12th. It's a 3-week course, and the way that it's worked out is you would be able to move into the residence the day before on that Sunday, and then you would move out on that Saturday after the last day of the class. The classroom time will take place at the Rice Global Paris Center, but again, the way that this class is set up is you'll do time in the classroom and then be exploring the city. And the program cost is $1,200 per credit hour. So since it's a 6 credit hour course, this is $7,200 tuition, plus there is the travel to Paris and additional living expenses for the 3 weeks. But the program does cover housing for all 3 weeks, local travel, so getting to and from the residence is covered, as well as all outings that are course set excursions, any tickets for the course, and you will also receive 3 group meals and travel insurance. There are some things that aren't covered that I've listed here. However, we do you are able, if you're eligible for financial aid, we work with the financial aid office to determine what type of financial aid you have available for the summer. And we would include that in your award letter. So if you get chosen for this course, we would already have that listed for you. They also have other assistance like grants. And then our office, Rice Global, does provide tuition assistance. So in the application, if that is something that you're looking for, go ahead and indicate that in the in the application. And also, we also offer travel awards. So just make sure you list that on the application. And if you are accepted to the course, that will be part of your acceptance letter. You will have all that information listed for you. And then just a little bit about the student housing. We do have 3 different residences in Paris. Each residence has individually fully furnished apartments. So you would have your own apartment. You wouldn't have to share with another student. And each apartment has their own full bathroom with a shower, their own kitchen area, and that includes a small stove, a fridge, and a microwave with plates and utensils provided. You have your own table, desk area, so you could do some work in your room, and your own bed with linens and pillows provided, as well as we also provide towels. The housing themselves, the residences all have a shared washer and dryer, which you could use at any time. You wouldn't have to pay to use them. You would only have to provide your own detergent. And then each residence also has an outdoor courtyard or garden space. And just to show you kind of quickly what the commute would look like from your residences to the classroom space, it's approximately a 30-minute commute, but that's pretty normal in in Paris, like getting around, walking to the metro stop, and it's about a 7-stop line, one of the lines, at least the one that I took when I was staying at the residences. And all 3 different residences are located in the 13th arrondissement. I can't say it accurately.
You did that perfectly.
And then Rice Global Paris Center is on the 4th. And I'll show you a little bit what I mean by that. I found out, Fabiola, which one is it that the Rice Global Paris Center was located after your other info session that you had. So this is what I mean. So up here on the side, you can see what the different arrondissements are. So this is the 13th where the different residences are located, and this is where the Rice Global Paris Center is at. The neighborhood in this area is really nice. All the different neighborhoods for the residences, they're really quiet. It's not, it's more of a residential, I would say, but they have anything you would need. So you have your like a supermarket walking distance, different restaurants, and the students really seem to love it over there. They felt like it was really safe and a great location for the houses to be at. And this is just a quick view about the Rice Global Paris Center itself, which is where you'll have the morning classroom time. There's an outdoor courtyard if it's available and you guys want to maybe do some class time outside, or it just depends on Luis and Fabiola, but this is where you'll be doing the classes. It's right in the center, and it's in the Marais, and that area is such a hopping area, so it's a great location to be at. But when you go in the center itself, it feels like a different world. Like you wouldn't think that this building is in the area that it's at. So it's a really special place. And just how to apply, this QR code takes you to our landing page, and I'll show you guys that in a second. You would just have to choose the scores. I'll show you how to do that shortly, but just the deadline to apply is January 26th, and acceptance is, students will be notified approximately that week of February 5th. And again, the acceptance letter will have all the information. We work with the financial aid office, so if that's something that you indicated you want, that'll be in the acceptance letter. And just to show you guys, this is the website. So that's the landing page. So what you want to do is go to the course that you want to take, which is Unlearning Paris Intensive. You click on here and it takes you to the page about the course itself, which has a lot of the information we just talked about. And then if you have questions, you can click on request information and it'll send me an email directly. And if it's regarding the program, I'll be able to answer. If it's regarding the course, I'll send that along to Luis and Fabiola. And then if you do want to apply, you can go ahead and click right there. And it'll take you to the application. Again, like I said, you can list whether you need financial aid on this, and then all the other questions that'll help us with the decision for anyone that gets into the course. So that's it for me. I don't know if Luis and Fabiola, if you have anything else to add, or if we should take questions at this point.
I mean, we are open to questions if any of you has any question.
I have some general questions because the syllabus of the course was really explanatory. If I want to apply like 2 different Paris courses during the summer, should I only fill out the form once or twice?
No, so go ahead. Each form is different for each different course. The thing is, if you want to take a course if you want to take 2 courses that are in the same session, that's not possible. You can only take 1 course per session, because like you heard, like this course itself is basically all day, every day. So, but you are able to apply to other courses in different sessions. So definitely do that. In the application itself, we do have a section that asks what your preference is. So like if you have a first choice, list that one first. So that will give you more priority for that course. But go ahead and apply for multiple courses if you want. However, if you do want financial assistance, tuition assistance, that will only be applied to 1 course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that maybe one important thing for prospective candidates is to take seriously the answer to the questions that has to do with the interest in taking this course. We just revised over 100 applications for my other class, and it was very difficult. So, and we are coming from teaching this class last summer with an incredible group of very engaged students that made our summer always, that make really an amazing month of our lives, to the point that I am sure I'm speaking for both of us. It has been a kind of highlight in our academic career. So we are not expecting less this time around.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I think that's it for us. But again, if you do have questions, go ahead and click on that link that I pointed out earlier, or you can always email me at pariscenter@rice.edu. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions. But thank you guys, and thank you, Luis and Fabiola. I'm so excited to be working with you guys again. So yeah.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you for
Likewise, Edith.
putting all together.